everybody. This is Ajahn Spencer, and with one more podcast. This one goes directly with Buddhism and less with freestyle, what I like to call quantum Dhamma, which is the attempt to seek the Dhamma as a universal unconditioned truth instead of through the lens of Buddhism. But this time this is dealing with the techniques taught purely in Buddhism as a religion or as a set of practices which can be applied. And this one is about one of the parts of the practice which is heard of or encountered in the studies of almost every Buddhist, almost from the beginning. The term, the Eightfold Path, is normally encountered. So the Eightfold Path is something I believe, and I believed myself to have understood. I believe many people think they understand it and think that it is self-explanatory in the way it is listed as a series of eight attitudes or applied methods to have, which it is, but it's not as simple as it sounds. So I'd like to go into a deeper analysis of understanding the true meaning of what the Buddha meant by the Eightfold Path. This particular talk is going to have to be followed with a synopsis and discussion, or a talk on the Dhammavatana Chakra, the turning of the wheel of Dhamma, the Dhamma wheel sermon, the first sermon, the Buddha's first sermon, which explains his enlightenment and what was required to attain that enlightenment, what attainments or what meditative states and further attainments he achieved, which are necessary to achieve the goal of arahantship. So, back to the Eightfold Path. I'll start by listing it. 1. Samma Titti. เห็นชอบ the right view, right attitude, right view, to have the right view of things, to see things as they really are, to know things for how they truly are, their nature, one would suppose. So the first, samatiti, right view, the real meaning, which is hardly ever or never mentioned or explained, means that if you have samatiti, right view, means the following. It means you see with your insight, not you have studied and understood theory, but you see and experience the truth, the Dhamma of the Four Noble Truths. Dada, Tuk, Samudaya, Nirod, Mak, the Four Noble Truths, Dukkha. All things and eventually lead to unsatisfactoriness. The simple translation for dukkha is suffering. I don't think that's really a correct translation. The word dukkha actually means you cannot maintain it constantly in the same state, in its new condition or in its young state. All things are constantly changing and in flux, and so it cannot be maintained or held as one wishes it to remain. It is beyond and out of one's reach and control, and is therefore a dissatisfactory situation. So dukkha, that's the first of the Four Noble Truths. The second is samudaya, if dukkha, if suffering exists, or unsatisfactory, repeatedly unsatisfactory feeling or state of mind because of the impermanence around it. All things are impermanent, as and that when we cling to them and they cease to be, or we have to lose them or let go of them, then it hurts. So dukkha, suffering, does arise, or dissatisfaction. Samudaya, if suffering exists, dissatisfaction, all things which come into being also have to meet with cessation, an end. All things which have a beginning also have an end. All things which are born must die. All mountains must erode into sand, and stars will explode, galaxies will dissolve, and even universes will extinguish, start again. That's another story I will maybe talk about one day, about the cyclic universe. That's a big one. That's a long story. It's a series of very long stories, actually. So, the second of the Eightfold Path is Samma Sankappa, ดำริชอบดำริออกจากกามดำริในการไม่พยาบาทและดำริไม่เบียดเบียนmeans right action, to behave and act skillfully and without creating suffering for oneself or for others, and to not seek sensual pleasures and not harm other beings, not bully, not harm or bother. The third of the Eightfold Path, Samma Vaja, right speech, เจรจาชอบเขาเว้นจากวจีทุจริตสี่ The real meaning of right speech means to refrain from the four kinds of wrong speech. There's a Buddhist teaching by the Buddha about the four kinds of wrong speech. So, to have correct speech, one needs to master the practice of abstention of all the four forms of inauspicious speech, or speech which will be the cause of suffering or regret or rebirth in samsara and samsaric existence. Suffering. I mean, you are born, you will get sick, you will get old, and you will die. So, that is right speech. The fourth of the Eightfold Path is Sammagammanta. ทำการงานชอบ right profession คือเว้นจากกายทุจริตสาม means to the real meaning of right profession means refraining from the three dishonest kinds of behavior or profession or attitudes of profiting. The fifth of the Eightfold Path, the fifth applied method, is to create the causes of and attain the realization of Samma Achiva, this right profession, Sammagammanta, means to, the previous one I just explained, Sammagammanta means to right action, and but right action actually means the practice of refraining from various actions which are not right actions, or if you want to call it so, wrong actions. I would call them, I don't believe in wrong actions, I just believe in skillful and unskillful actions. Unskillful one lead to regret or burdens, be they mental, be they emotional, be they subconscious or conscious, but they are burdens. All of our actions and words and thoughts and intentions, they reflect our state of mind and our mood, and whether we are suffering or tense or stressful in a stressful state or not. So if we are angry with our enemy, and our enemy might be off having his birthday party or at his daughter's wedding or something, and not be aware of anything of suffering or not know about our story, and we can sit there hating and angry with somebody and be wronged or feel wronged, but actually, the hate, that's wrong, and that's not in our enemy's mind, it's in our mind. And the anger, that's, well, I wouldn't say it's wrong, but I would say it's hot like the fires of hell, and it doesn't feel good, and it's stressful. And that is also not in the body, heart, or mind of he who we feel has wronged us. It's in ours. And so all we are doing is creating chimeras, imaginary baggage containing suffering for free, and we're trailing it around with us, basically. So, right action means to avoid the three kinds of wrong behavior, let's say wrong behavior, which involves your attitude, it involves your words, it involves your bodily actions. After that, Samma Ajiva is the fifth of the Eightfold Path, proper right profession, means not seek or enact professions which go against the Buddhist precepts of moral virtue, or which are deceptive or thievery, or any such dishonest profession. The sixth applied method of the Eightfold Path is Samma Vayama, right effort. เพียรชอบกับเพียรในที่สี่สถานสมปทานที่เพียรในที่สี่สถานSamma Vayama, right effort, means to make a sustained, attempted, constant effort, to sustain a constant effort as well as one can, in the four samapadanas. So right effort actually means to practice successfully, to apply the four samapadanas into one's life. So, what are the four samapadanas? The four samapatansi is one, do not destroy the auspicious deeds of the past, your past auspicious deeds. The second one is leave your past unskillful acts, or if you wish to condition yourself with the concept of sin, your sins, leave your sins behind, rid yourself of your sins that you have already committed, or your unskillful actions which have left you with nothing but regret and pain. I prefer that particular way of looking at it, but if you believe in sin as a thing you can put in a pot or measure, or that it's a real Dhamma, a real thing in itself that exists, then whatever you like. I don't believe in that. But words are words worth, and so the meaning of the word sin might be different in the minds of 10 people. It might have 10 different meanings. So it's not even really worth arguing or discussing, because it is bhajatang vetitapo, just like vipassana, meaning you can only know through your own experience. Somebody can tell you what a melon tastes like 50 times, but you'll have an idea and make pictures and imagine something. You might even get something close with a good description, but if it's something you've never tasted, well, when you first taste a melon after having heard the description, you will probably find that it is nothing like the description for two reasons. One, because it's impossible to describe a taste of something that the person you are telling has never tried or seen. It is very difficult indeed. The only way you can really know intuitively and without words and just like the thing for what it is, before anybody ever started using words and talking, before humans on earth, things were what they were, but they didn't have a name like dog or bird. They just were, be they alive or be they objects, but it was only when we came along and changed from our living with nature in the trees to becoming something which appears synthetic, a synthetic society with a synthetic imaginary method of sustenance. I am speaking about the thing we know of as the monetary system, which is a numbers game using pieces of paper and metal which are practically worthless and in fact actually worthless. But even on a representative or a symbolic level, they're also practically worthless. They used to say this can be exchanged or is worth its value in gold. Most countries don't have that promise on their banknotes anymore. Maybe I'll talk about that one day and why. But that's not to do with the Enlightenment. That is to do with secrets of this world. But they're secrets. It's maybe interesting to talk about them one day. So, we return to the Eightfold Path. Right effort is followed by the seventh of the 8 applied methods, which is Samma Sati. Sati, those who study Pali or study Buddhism or have been to Sri Lanka, practice Buddhism or in Thailand will know Sati. Sati means, if you fall into a dream and just drift off, you don't have Sati. To keep wakefulness and mindfulness, awareness, focus, keep focused and know what's going on around you, more or less something like that. Sati means acutely aware. ระลึกชอบsamasati, right concentration, right sati. I don't remember the English translation for this. Been too long in Thailand. But I think the correct translation is right mindfulness. Right mindfulness. Alertness is a good word. To sustain alertness, which in Thailand we would say raksa sati sampachanya. So sati might mean mindful, and sampachanya means sustained alertness. So don't drift off, to really hold a sustained forced effort, conscious effort to remain mindful and watchful and register as much as one can of what is going on within and outside of oneself as it happens in real time. I call it watching the heart in real time, which is tantamount for me to the practice of Gamatana, Vipassana Gamatana, Gamatana Vipassana. is more or less what the forest tradition monks practice. Vipassana, kamatan. So vipassana, insight meditation or mindfulness meditation. Kamatan, kamma action, tan, base of action. Applied method. Kamatan means a method of examining the Dhamma and realizing the Dhamma. So if you practice vipassana kamatan, there are meditative practices such as breathing exercises with mental focus in combination. So the right mindfulness, I will now abbreviate and try and give a concise and clear explanation. So what is right mindfulness? Consists of you should not be concerned with how well others are doing or what's going on outside and whether it bothers you or not, unless noticing that something is bothering you and you watch the bothersome feeling inside and investigate it and investigate where the bothered feeling came from. That's okay, that's gamatana. That's investigation and uncovering the Dhamma, the truth, the true nature of things, through asking pertinent questions and examining one's own mind, within one's body, one's khandhas, one's perceptions, one's memories, one's feelings, sensations, one's way of gathering information, interpreting, concluding and making decisions based upon preference or aversion. Like it, don't care. Want it to not come anywhere near me. Like don't want it. Don't want it is actually not, it's still wanting, it's still craving. You can crave for something you want, but you can also crave not to have to tolerate being in the same room with that person, for example. So you could say, I don't want to see that person. That's not wanting. But actually, you can turn it around. You can flip it around and say, it is wanting. It is wanting to not see somebody instead of wanting to see somebody. It's craving in essence, even though you can use a double negative and say it's not wanting. So this kind of watching oneself inside, watching one's mood, using the Dhamma, what one has learned till now, to date of the Dhamma, to check out if those Dhammas are true and can be applied to that which you are observing and investigating, be it your emotions as they come and go and change and fluctuate, be it your thoughts or the state of stressfulness or relaxed feeling which is in your body and mind and nervous system and heart in any given moment. And to be watchful and mindful and persistently alert to not slip and keep watching what's happening, what is arising within oneself, and ask oneself questions about it which are Dhamma orientated, such as, is this impermanent? Is this dukkha? Does it have a inherent self, or is it non-self in nature, or can one not find any kind of a self within this object I am investigating, and so on. Whatever you learn about the teachings of the Buddha, you can check them out in your meditation when you are watching yourself inside and following the various phenomena and events which arise within you, be they emotions, be they thought bubbles, opinions, reactions, bodily sensations, sounds, perceptions of sounds, memories, tastes, perceptions of tastes, thoughts and opinions and reactions about the object which those tastes or smells or sounds originated from, and why one is conditioned to react with liking or dislike, and get to know oneself within. This is the applied method of the Eightfold Path, known as Samasati, Right Mindfulness. So the eighth and final applied method of practice, or applied effort to attain and maintain and sustain in your practice in this Eightfold Path, is Samma Samadhi, right concentration, or as we say in the West, meditation. So Samma Samadhi, in Thai we would say ตั้งใจมั่นชอบ ตั้งมั่น means to focus your mind and to make it very solid, secure and focused and unwavering in the Buddha, the Dhamma and the Sangha, or in the object of your faith. If the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha are not the object you are using, or which is apt or pertinent to your practice. So you might not be Buddhist, you might use an image of Jesus. I say all things can work because the real transformation occurs within your mind, within your heart, and it occurs only after you have accumulated the strength of effort to achieve that transformation. That comes after something else, which I call planting seeds. Like planting seeds cause creation or cause accumulation. So if you wish to attain a certain Dhamma or a certain conquer a certain aspect of your own heart for once and for all, then in fact one will have found fault with oneself in life. I have many times, so I assume other humans have too. If you're honest with yourself and you look at your skillful and unskillful actions, you put your head on the pillow at night and you review your day, how easily you sleep, how light-hearted or heavy-hearted you are, that will reflect how skillful or unskillful you were that day or that week or in that period that you have acted until you stopped to examine your deeds. So that is the measure. If you wish to know, does karma, or the mental abstraction or the abstract concept which we know of as karma, does it exist really? Is it a thing which exists? If you ask me, I would say it is an immaterial Dhamma, so it does not have a form, it's not physical. In the material world it does not have a manifestation, but that it is a Dhamma which is, it is not a Dhamma which is not, but it's immaterial, it doesn't have a form, so you will have a problem to put it in a box.